The dying star pulsed like a wounded heart, sending violent waves of crimson light rippling across the void. Around it, alien fleets hovered, colossal and humming with restrained power. Ships shaped like jagged monoliths and shimmering crystals floated in tense formation, their engines emitting low, vibrating tones that reverberated through the empty expanse of space. The air, if such a word applied here, was thick with anticipation, electric and almost sentient. On the ritual planet below, towering crystal spires rotated slowly, suspended midair without any visible support. Between them, alien priests chanted in a language that twisted sound into vibration. The words weren't meant to be understood. They were meant to summon a mythical being, a savior, a force of salvation promised in prophecy. Each syllable sent tremors through the planet's crust, and faint sparks of energy danced along the spires, reflecting in the eyes of the gathered leaders. They had waited centuries for this. Every civilization in the coalition teetered on the edge of collapsed star systems dying, resources drained, and internal wars tearing at their core. And now, the ritual reached its climax. Energy from hundreds of converging worlds focused on a central crystal, glowing brighter with every chant. A crescendo of light and sound built, so intense that nearby moons shivered in orbit. But then, something strange happened. A streak of light, impossible in its precision, tore through the vortex at the edge of the summoning field. It moved as if the laws of space were suggestions, not rules. Slicing past unstable energy currents without so much as a shimmer of distortion, the priests froze mid-chant, eyes widened. The energy of their ritual, meticulously calculated over centuries, reacted not violently but as though it had recognized something. The human ship emerged, sleek and unassuming, dwarfed by the gargantuan alien fleets. Its surface shimmered faintly with an iridescent glow, like liquid metal catching distant starlight. It wasn't armed. It didn't flash or roar with weapons power. It simply was, cutting through the chaos of the ritual like a knife through mist. No alarms went off, no defenses engaged. Yet the alien leaders felt a ripple of unease. Some instinct whispered, this was not part of the plan. Inside the human ship, the crew stared at the massive crystal spires through reinforced glass. Their eyes held no awe, no fear, only curiosity. They had come because something in the stars' dying pulse had drawn them a signal they did not fully understand. They did not know they had just walked into a cosmic stage set by civilizations desperate enough to worship hope itself. On the ground, the alien priests paused, uncertain. Could this be the savior? The being their rituals had promised? Their chants faltered, voices blending into whispers. Energy surged around the spires, bending and writhing, as if questioning the arrival of this unannounced visitor. The aliens had prepared for a god, a legend, a force beyond understanding, but instead, what appeared was a species they considered inconsequential, ordinary, fragile, yet undisturbed by cosmic chaos. Somewhere deep in the void, a thought, simple but profound, formed. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. The ritual had been meant to summon salvation. Yet the stage was no longer theirs to control. A subtle shift in the cosmos, unnoticed by the alien fleets, whispered that salvation might arrive in a form no prophecy could anticipate. And as the dying star pulsed again, a quiet but undeniable certainty spread through the observers. The universe had chosen a different path, one shaped by ingenuity, audacity, and the unpredictable force of humanity. The air, or whatever passed for air, in the void around the ritual planet, vibrated with tension. Alien eyes, multifaceted and glimmering, scanned the approaching anomaly, unable to comprehend its simplicity. A ship no larger than a cruiser in their terms, sliced effortlessly through the storm of energy generated by centuries of ritual. No shields flared, no weapon systems engaged. It moved as though the laws of the universe bowed out of respect. On board, the humans moved with calm precision. Instruments flickered with readings the aliens couldn't hope to interpret. The ship hummed quietly, almost alive, but without fanfare. The crew exchanged subtle glances. Each member felt a pull, an instinct they couldn't explain, guiding them straight toward the planet where countless civilizations had gathered in desperate hope. Below, the alien priests began whispering. The prophecy. One croaked voice. Trembling it is. Energy rippled through the central spire, bending light and air around it. Flashes of rainbow brilliance danced across the alien fleets, casting long shadows over the stone-like decks. Then, the humans landed. The craft didn't thunder down in spectacle. It simply settled, silent, like a bird perching on the edge of a cliff. Dust, debris, and sparks from the ritual swirled harmlessly around it, but not a hair or whatever passed for hair was disturbed. The aliens recoiled instinctively. Their superstitions clashed violently with reality. From the hatch, humans emerged, ordinary in appearance yet extraordinary in presence. No flowing robes, no glowing aura. They carried no weapons. They moved with deliberate calm, their eyes scanning the massive spires and the alien fleets. Every step was measured, unafraid. And yet, the sheer audacity of their confidence made the aliens uneasy. One of the priests dared to approach. You are the savior," he stammered, voice quivering. The humans exchanged puzzled looks. One shook his head slowly. "We're not here to save anyone," he said in the universal translator, voice calm, even gentle. "We're here to understand." The crowd froze. Understanding. That wasn't part of the ritual. That wasn't supposed to happen. The crystals hummed louder, pulses of energy snapping like lightning arcs across the spires. A ripple of panic ran through the alien fleets. Their meticulously calculated rituals faltered. A being of legend had been expected. Humans had arrived instead. Curiosity became their weapon. One human approached a floating crystal, tracing a fingertip along its jagged surface. Light bent and shimmered under the touch, responding not with destruction, but with resonance. The priests gasped. Energy flowed differently than predicted. Their ritual, the culmination of centuries, was bending to the will of mortals they had dismissed above them. Warships shifted uneasily in orbit. Their commanders whispered urgently through comms channels, a mix of awe and dread in their voices. What force had arrived that could glide through unstable energy storms unscathed? What being could tame the chaotic pulse of a dying star without effort? And why had their rituals, painstakingly perfected over centuries, failed to anticipate this? The humans, unaware of the magnitude of their effect, smiled faintly at one another. Calmly, they began examining energy nodes, scanning readings, adjusting minor variables. The crystals pulsed in perfect synchrony with their movements. Aliens watched, their minds grasping at explanations, none of which made sense. The impossible had arrived and it was human. In the distance, the dying star pulsed again, blood-red, light spilling across the planet. Its energy no longer seemed unstable, it seemed almost cooperative, almost alive. Humanity had arrived at the perfect moment, by instinct rather than prophecy, and the universe itself seemed to acknowledge it. Lightning crackled across the sky of the ritual planet, although no storm had been predicted. The crystal spires reflected the flashes and fractured rainbows, painting the alien assemblies below with disorienting light. The air trembled with power the priests had intended to control, but now seemed to twist around something entirely unexpected. Humans walked among the towering crystals, as if stepping through a calm park. Their footsteps light, yet deliberate. One knelt, inspecting a shard hovering mid-air, tapping on panels that shimmered with alien energy. Sparks leaped in arcs, crackling dangerously, but the human's hand hovered inches above, unburned, as though the energy itself deferred to their presence. The priests gasped. The rituals they had mastered for centuries bent in ways no calculation had predicted. "Impossible," muttered one priest, his antennae trembling. They touch it, and it obeys. The humans didn't know or care about the prophecy. They were solving a puzzle, their curiosity guiding them. They flipped switches, twisted crystalline panels, and adjusted angular arrays. Energy pulses that had been wild and destructive moments before now flowed in rhythmic harmony. The spires vibrated, thrumming in sync with the human simple movements. To the aliens, it appeared miraculous, like a deity bending the raw chaos of the universe to its will. A high-ranking alien officer whispered urgently into a communicator. "Sir, these humans, whatever they are, they manipulate energy without effort. It defies all known laws. We cannot predict their next move." But the humans were not trying to impress. They were simply experimenting, exploring cause and effect. One human raised a hand, and a crystalline beam of energy arced harmlessly toward the central spire. Another adjusted a rotating panel, and the beam split into a cascade of harmless light, dancing across the spire like liquid fire. The priests fell to their knees, overwhelmed by awe and fear. Outside, alien warships shifted like predators, sensing a threat they could not see. Their weapons systems flared briefly, then dimmed. They realized that conventional power lasers, plasma, psychic amplifiers would not intimidate these beings. Humans did not need to fight to dominate, they simply were. Their confidence, their intellect, their calmness in chaos, it radiated a force that the aliens could neither quantify nor counter. The youngest human, barely 20 cycles in human years, crouched and scribbled on a datapad, adjusting calculations faster than any alien system could respond. A crystal shard hovered near them, responding to the subtle changes, shifting its pulse to match human patterns. The priest's chants faltered. Could this really be the savior? Or something far stranger, something beyond legend? A tremor ran through the ritual grounds. Crystals bent slightly, energy arcs snapping in complex, beautiful patterns. Humans continued their calm, precise work, oblivious to the gasps and shouts around them. To the aliens, it seemed as though the very laws of reality had become malleable under human hands. The fear in their hearts was growing. This was no god, no summoned hero. They were witnessing something new, something alien even to them. One priest finally spoke aloud, trembling. "They are not what we expected, but they are magnificent." The words barely carried over the humming, shifting energy. Magnificent. The humans were ordinary, fragile creatures by all accounts. Yet here, amidst the chaotic brilliance of a dying star and centuries of ritual, they moved with certainty, turning confusion into order with effortless precision. The humans paused briefly, observing their surroundings. They exchanged a glance. One nodded, almost imperceptibly. The aliens misread it as some divine signal. The humans resumed their work, unaware of the awe and the fear they inspired. The ground trembled as a massive structure materialized in orbit, a dark silhouette against the blood-red dying star. It was an alien superweapon and energy cannon capable of annihilating countenance, powered by the very rituals the priests had cultivated for centuries. Its core pulsed violently, synchronized with the crystal spires below, and beams of concentrated energy began lancing toward the planet's surface. Panic rippled through the alien fleets. "It's the final deterrent," one commander hissed. "Any misstep, and the planet and everyone on it will be obliterated." The humans, still walking calmly among the crystals, didn't flinch. One paused, studying the weapon's energy signature through their instruments. "It's unstable," they muttered. "The alignment isn't perfect. We can work with it." The priests screamed in disbelief. How could beings so fragile, so unarmed, confront a weapon that could vaporize cities? Their calculations had accounted for everything except humans. The humans moved deliberately, stepping closer to the central spire, scanning, adjusting, probing the energy flows. Suddenly, a bolt of red lightning from the weapon streaked toward the spires. Aliens shrieked and scrambled, shields flaring. Humans, however, raised a single device, a small, unassuming console. A hum built, harmonizing with the spire's vibrations, and the energy bolt bent, curling around the human device like water, flowing around a rock. It struck the spire, but instead of destruction, the energy amplified the crystalline resonance. The sky lit up in brilliant arcs of multicolored energy. Crystals spun, refracting light into dazzling patterns that rippled across the planet. Alien eyes widened as the weapon seemed to feed the humans' adjustments instead of harming them. The impossible was happening. Human ingenuity was turning a weapon designed for annihilation into a tool of harmony. One of the humans stepped forward, hand extended toward the weapon's energy beam. The console emitted a quiet pulse, and the beam split into hundreds of harmless arcs, each dissipating into the atmosphere without damage. The priests fell to their knees, chanting frantically, trying to regain control. But the humans did not obey prophecy. They observed, analyzed, and adapted, bending chaos to their will. A young officer in the alien fleet whispered to their commander, voice trembling, They don't fear it. They understand it." The humans' calmness, their refusal to panic in the face of annihilation, radiated a power no alien had predicted. They moved with precision, turning a weapon of terror into a display of controlled energy. Light refracted across their faces, illuminating the awestruck alien priests. For the first time, many realized that these humans were not fragile. They were a force of nature, unpredictable and unstoppable in their own way. The energy cannon's hum slowed, its destructive potential neutralized by a combination of human intuition and calculated adjustments to the spire. Aliens stared, frozen in disbelief, as the humans stepped back, leaving the once lethal weapon inert, a harmless marvel of redirected power. The priests' chants faltered. The prophecy they had relied upon for centuries of a legendary being, descending to save them, had been subverted. The humans had not summoned salvation, they had become it. The dying star pulsed once more, its energy no longer threatening, but synchronized with the humans' calm mastery, casting crimson and gold light over the planet like a benediction. The alien fleets hovered tensely above the planet, their ships forming jagged rings in orbit like predatory teeth poised to strike. Commanders barked orders, trying to regain control after the humans had neutralized their ultimate weapon without a single shot fired. Panic simmered beneath their disciplined ranks. How could mere mortals, unarmored and unaugmented, disarm a suit? Their calculations shattered, their confidence faltering. They stared at the humans with disbelief and fear. On the ground, the humans stood among the glowing crystal spires, their calm presence in sharp contrast to the tension swirling around them. Instruments beeped softly as readings stabilized under human guidance. They were methodical, precise, observing patterns invisible to any alien mind. Every gesture seemed casual, yet each movement resonated with authority, born not of legend, but of intellect, courage, and ingenuity. The alien High Council convened, their spindly limbs gesturing wildly. "This cannot be," one hissed. "They are not gods. Yet their presence bends the very fabric of energy around us. They are dangerous." From orbit, a colossal warship broke formation, releasing a pulse that warped space around it. The planet's surface rippled violently, crystals rattling under the strain. Humans didn't flinch. One raised a small device, and a field of harmonic resonance enveloped the crystals. The ripples stuttered, faltered, and then stilled. The planet itself seemed to sigh in relief, responding to humans like a conductor following the cues of a maestro. A young alien lieutenant leaned toward their commander, voice trembling. "Sir, they are not fighting us. Yet everything we do, everything we unleash, bends to their will." The humans, aware of the rising tension but unafraid, began moving strategically among the spires. They observed, calculated, and subtly, adjusted flows of energy, diverting violent arcs and harmonizing chaotic pulses. Aliens gasped at every minor correction and unseen hand-stabilizing disaster with effortless grace. It was more than cleverness. It was an instinctual understanding of systems and patterns, a quality no alien species had ever mastered. Then, a deafening roar split the skies. The alien High Council unleashed a coordinated strike, a storm of energy that threatened to obliterate the human team. The spires shuddered violently under the assault, fragments of crystals snapping and floating mid-air. Panic swept through the alien ranks when the humans, instead of retreating, walked calmly into the storm. One human pressed a palm against the largest shard, and the incoming energy folded harmlessly around the crystal, refracted into ribbons of light that danced across the battlefield. The alien fleet reeled, their coordinated strike turned to spectacular, harmless display. Fear turned to awe. They had underestimated humans. Not their strength, not their weapons, but their ingenuity, courage, and resolve. The priests, frantic, tried to chant louder, desperate to regain control of their rituals. But the humans moved independently, ignoring prophecy, adjusting, testing, learning. Every misstep of the aliens became an opportunity for humans to stabilize, neutralize, and subtly dominate without aggression. The young officer whispered in disbelief. They aren't fighting us, yet we are powerless to stop them. Above, the dying star flared one final time, casting crimson light over the planet and the alien fleets. The humans stood in the glow, ordinary in appearance, yet extraordinary in effect. They had arrived unannounced, unprophesied, and now, through calm observation, courage, and relentless curiosity, they were reshaping reality itself. Above the planet, alien warships trembled like frightened predators. Their fleets, once confident and orderly, now moved hesitantly, unsure of the humans who had not only neutralized their ultimate weapon, but had turned their own chaos into calm mastery. The alien High Council seethed with disbelief and frustration. They had summoned what they thought was salvation, but these humans were rewriting the rules entirely. On the surface, the humans moved among the glowing crystal spires, with purposeful calm. The once frantic energy arcs from the alien weapon now flowed like ribbons of light, responding to subtle adjustments the humans made. Each step they took shifted the battlefield subtly, bending the environment to their advantage without a single act of aggression. One human crouched beside a shard, analyzing its resonance. If we redirect the energy through this matrix, they muttered, we can make the fleet think their attacks are striking, while actually dissipating them harmlessly. Another nodded, adjusting a console. In seconds, the orbital strike meant to annihilate the humans was rendered ineffective. Its energy folded back into harmless light shows that glittered like fireworks across the sky. The aliens recoiled. How is this possible? One whispered voice trembling. They don't even fight. Yet we are powerless. A senior officer barked orders, but the fleets were already hesitant. Every movement they made was anticipated, subtly countered, or neutralized by humans who did not need weapons to dominate. They used intellect, adaptability, and audacity as their arsenal. Even the priests, desperate to reclaim control of their rituals, could do nothing. The humans had not arrived to obey prophecy, they had arrived to reshape reality. Through action and understanding, one of the humans stepped onto a central platform, lifting their hands to the sky. Crystals trembled and pulsed, sending harmonic waves across the planet. Alien sensors detected unusual energy fluctuations, waves that seemed alive, responsive, almost intelligent. The High Council realized, too late, the humans had turned the environment itself into a shield, a countermeasure, and a weapon, all at once. From orbit, a commander watched the scene unfold, white-knuckled on the controls. They are controlling the battlefield, without firing a shot. The humans worked together seamlessly, communicating without words, anticipating the alien maneuvers, exploiting weaknesses the aliens didn't even know existed. The fleets, confident a moment ago, now moved as if trapped in a web they couldn't understand. Their confidence shattered, replaced by fear and indecision. One human knelt, touching a floating shard, and a sudden pulse of harmonic energy rippled outward, striking the nearest fleet like an invisible hand, guiding them into harmless positions. Ships veered away from dangerous energy arcs as if they were puppets, their movements dictated not by threat but by human intuition. The alien crews shouted in frustration, trying to fight a battle they could not see, could not comprehend, could not win. A priest finally fell to the ground, muttering in awe, "They are not what we imagined. They are humanity." The dying star blazed overhead, casting deep crimson and gold shadows across the planet. The humans stood amid the crystal spires, calm, composed, and seemingly ordinary, but every alien eye watching recognized the truth. These beings were extraordinary, unstoppable, in ways no prophecy could predict. The ground hummed with energy as the humans paused, surveying the battlefield. Their simple presence had dismantled fear, neutralized weapons, and exposed the alien coalition's overconfidence. The aliens had summoned what they thought would be salvation, yet in doing so, had revealed the weakness in their own pride and the unstoppable potential of humanity. The alien fleets quivered above the planet, their formations fractured and chaotic. Orders flew frantically from one command ship to another. Yet every maneuver the aliens attempted was anticipated, countered, or rendered meaningless. On the surface, the humans moved among the glowing crystal spires, as though performing a quiet dance with the planet itself. Each step, each gesture, reshaped the battlefield with precision no alien mind could comprehend. One young human crouched beside a crystalline shard, fingertips brushing its surface. A ripple of harmonic energy spread outward, bending the trajectory of a missile that had been hurled from orbit. It didn't explode. It didn't hit. It simply folded harmlessly into the sky, leaving a streak of refracted light that dazzled all who watched from the highest orbital command. A senior alien officer shouted orders in panic. "Concentrate fire. Break them." But the humans were already turning every attack into a display of controlled brilliance. Energy bolts, lasers, and missiles arced toward them, only to be absorbed, redirected, or cancelled by subtle human interventions that seemed almost instinctive. The High Council gathered in panic. "These mortals, they do not fight, yet we are helpless," hissed one. "They are not prophecy. They are something else, something stronger." Human ingenuity worked silently, yet devastatingly. Each attack the aliens thought would crush them was used instead as a teaching moment. Humans observed, adapted, and manipulated the energy flows, demonstrating to every alien commander the impossible. Humans thrived not through power, but through perception and action. A massive alien dreadnought released a pulse designed to destabilize the crystal network. A concentrated wave of destructive energy meant to shatter the spires and end the humans. The wave approached like a roaring storm, shaking the ground violently. But a human officer raised a small, handheld console. The pulse hit it and bent it, arced around the operator. A living ribbon of chaos turned into harmony before dispersing harmlessly into the atmosphere. Aliens screamed in disbelief, watching their deadliest weapon turned into a spectacle of light and control. Every calculation, every prediction, every ritual had failed. Humanity was rewriting the rules of engagement without even trying. One human stepped to the center of the largest spire and extended a hand. The energy of the planet responded immediately. Light spiraled outward, linking the crystals, turning the planet itself into a living shield. The alien fleets faltered. Their most sophisticated technologies, their most powerful weapons, were now powerless in the face of something far more terrifying and elegant: the human mind, calm and resolute in the heart of chaos. The priests, desperate, fell silent. Their chants no longer resonated. The humans were no longer players in the prophecy. They had become the force that defined the battlefield. Even as the aliens tried to regroup, hesitation spread through their ranks. Each strike they attempted now carried the weight of uncertainty. They realized that their own fear was a weapon being used against them. Above, the dying star flared, crimson, bathing the planet in light that seemed almost sacred. The humans stood amid the spires, their calm mastery radiating outward. Every alien eye that watched knew the truth. These beings were not merely survivors. They were an unstoppable force, unpredictable, audacious, and brilliant. The humans' presence alone had turned desperation into opportunity. Every attempt at annihilation had failed. Every ritual of control nullified. The battlefield was theirs not because of weapons, but because of vision, courage, and insight. The alien fleets hovered in disarray, fractured and fearful. Their leaders barked orders that were met with confusion, hesitation, and mounting dread. Every maneuver they attempted had been anticipated, neutralized, or turned against them not with aggression, but with calculated calm. Humanity had arrived unannounced, unprophesied, and now they stood as the living embodiment of a truth no alien species had yet grasped. Strength is measured not by weapons, but by will, intellect, and courage. On the planet's surface, humans moved amid the crystal spires like conductors of a cosmic orchestra. The spires pulsed and hummed in harmony with their motions. Energy waves that once threatened devastation now danced harmlessly, bending into arcs of light that shimmered across the battlefield. The aliens watched in awe as their greatest assault unraveled, undone by a species they had assumed was inconsequential. A massive alien dreadnought attempted a last desperate strike, releasing a torrent of destructive energy aimed at the central spire. Time seemed to slow. The humans remained calm, each one anticipating the wave's trajectory. One human stepped forward, pressing a palm to the spire's surface. The energy collided with the crystal, not with an explosion, but with a resonant symphony that redirected the force into orbit, turning annihilation into spectacle. The alien High Council trembled. "Impossible. They do not fight, yet we cannot touch them," one hissed. Their rituals, their weapons, their summoning, they had all failed. Humanity had arrived, not as a follower of prophecy, but as an author of reality itself. From orbit, the fleets wavered. Pilots reported strange harmonics, energy flows they could not measure or counter. Ships stalled mid-course, engines straining, as if the planet itself had become a human-controlled entity. Fear rippled through every alien crew. Some whispered of surrender, others of retreat, but all knew the truth. They had underestimated humanity. On the ground, humans worked as one, subtle, precise, and relentless. They weren't wielding weapons. They were reshaping the environment, neutralizing threats, and exposing weaknesses the aliens didn't know they had. A young officer activated a series of harmonic emitters along the spires. Pulses radiated outward, folding entire squadrons of enemy craft into containment fields that held them harmlessly aloft. Suspended like captured butterflies, the alien priests cried out, hoping to summon divine intervention. But the humans ignored the chance, ignoring destiny itself. They were not servants of prophecy. They were agents of possibility. Finally, the High Council realized the inevitable. They attempted one last combined strike, pooling their energies for ultimate devastation. The humans paused, studied the incoming storm, and then acted. A wave of coordination, of ingenuity, of unflinching courage rolled across the battlefield. The energy hit the humans, but instead of destruction, it bent into harmony. The alien fleet's own assault was reflected back in dazzling ribbons of light, a spectacular display that left the enemy in awe and terror. Silence followed. The aliens, beaten without bloodshed, had no choice but to withdraw, their pride shattered, and their understanding forever altered. Humanity remained, calm, victorious, unyielding. The humans stood amid the glowing spires, ordinary in appearance, extraordinary in effect. Their quiet mastery had turned chaos into order, fear into awe, and inevitability into triumph. The galaxy had summoned salvation, but instead, it had received humanity itself.